episode of the Limitless Minds Closet Cast, behind the brand. Still don't have a name figured out. Again, I'm Miller McCoy, and today I've got a wonderful guest, Jason Lewis, aka Raps Trainer. We first got a relationship a few years back. You had done some training with me. I had kind of followed you, I think, a little bit prior to that, checking out everything that you were doing. I love the stuff. And I ended up one day hitting you up. You're like, yo, man, love to figure out how to get some training with you.
Nah, man, you came in and put in like a good 4 to 8 sessions, if I remember right. You came in, drove from all the way from Encino all the way down, to the gym. So I appreciate that. Man. Yeah. You came right to me. You're like right to the source,
That's right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And honestly, okay, like for an example, you remember those workouts where you'd put my arms into the thing and it was for the core.
Yeah.
And I still do this today.
Giving you tools to take to your daily life was really the key for that whole package. And
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad to see you got your cage and all the activity, basketball court, just a creative playground. And I think that activity is really supposed to be adjacent to creativity. I think that's really what I do.
You're spot on with that, man. You're spot on with that. The two kind of go in tandem, right? And the more active you can just be in kind of your daily life, the healthier life you're going to have, the more enjoyable life you're going to have.
Definitely.
They all kind of go hand in hand. So, Jason, give a little brief background about who you are, what you do, everything like that.
I'm Jason Lewis. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, and I'm a personal trainer with emphasis with touring artists and creatives in general.
Nice.
And that's been my passion and my ultimate goal. Since, I've been a trainer for about 11 years, and so about 2 years before that, I came up with this niche in my head.
Okay.
Raps Trainer wasn't the name yet. But that came way later. But yeah, I'm doing everything that I put my mind to when I was developing a love and passion for fitness. I always wanted to take it bigger.
Yeah.
And I think that's just being. That stems from just coming from where I was raised.
Yes,
Los Angeles. Went to Fairfax High School, so I think just growing up, everything was always as big as possible.
Yeah. And you were into fitness at a young age. I think I've seen one of your films. Your pops and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even before that, my mom talks about how I used to, there's a segment on Sesame Street called Elmo's Eyes.
Okay.
I used to carry around this tape with me and put it in wherever, and put it in whatever VCR I could, ECR, if you guys know what that is. And then I'd get everybody up in the house to do it and would get pissed off if they didn't do it with me. And I still actually have that VHS on my like shelf of collectibles and things like that.
That's sweet.
Mementos and things like that.
So it was an Elmo fitness training tape, basically.
Elmo got me into fitness, literally.
Sick.
And then as I played sports and things like that, and me and my dad developed this like really close bond through sports and working out and activity.
Yeah.
He works out 3-4 times a week. He ran collegiate track. So, but he still does sprint workouts and so I'm actually about to start up a whole new regiment with him again. Cause I feel like that's when I do my best work. Personal work is when I'm like working out with him. So, but my dad's a huge part in that. And I was just and that was just getting better for sports, getting bigger and better for the next football season.
Yeah.
And he did every rep with me, every sprint.
Wow.
And yes, he's
wow.
I grew up with him, watching him work out and drinking protein shakes. I used to see his protein shakes and like demand some, and and it's like he'd obviously get mad when he wouldn't. And I wanted to lift weights since I was a kid, and I've just always had a passion. It's always been around in my life.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm just so glad I get to share that, and this is what I do every day.
Yeah.
Every day feels like I'm just like a middle school kid playing basketball in his backyard, and
beautiful.
That's what I zone into that, and so able to share that with stage performing artists and the expertise that I've developed over the last 11 years.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, incredible. So growing up in LA, what was kind of that experience like? I'm not,
Mhm.
I'm from the Midwest. It is
Yeah.
completely different,
Yeah.
right? And so
For
going
sure.
to Fairfax High School, being in LA, what's kind of the upbringing like? And with that too, what's like the fitness industry tie-in? It's very active here, right?
Oh yeah, because I mean, the sun is shining, 365.
Yeah.
So it's outdoor workouts are a thing. Gyms are pretty much everywhere,
Yeah.
and that's a bit of
Yeah.
my philosophy as well. And I'm the guy I say sometimes I'm a minimalist, meaning like I'll analyze the client and I'll pull up with the weights that they need for them that can
Nice.
fit in one duffel bag
Yeah.
and whatever I can carry. And it's like and a cushion mat. Like
Okay.
that's key. Cushion mats.
Cushion mat.
So you can literally pull up in a parking lot. And that's really how I got artists to start training with me, really was it was the hardest part is getting an artist in the door. But so I had to go to them.
Yeah.
Go to the source.
Go to the source.
I used to pull up to their studios and
Word.
and work out with them either in the studio or in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's how I honestly think doing that work in the parking lot with Guap Dad 4000,
Yep.
the manager, Sam Lancaster,
Yep.
and just their whole team and township. I think that my work with them is really what ignited this whole wave of health in hip hop.
Wow.
I truly believe that because Guap was really instrumental to influencing even bigger artists.
Yeah.
Because a lot of bigger artists take from are those artists right on the cusp of micro to macro influencers.
Of course.
And I think that's where Guap was at that time.
Yep.
And without that, I don't think we would see the everyday rapper starting to work out and starting to like flex fitness and health.
Yeah.
Like I think that really stems in hip hop.
Yeah.
That really stems from the work I did in that parking lot. And people still like bring that up all the time.
Yeah.
Oh man, you was with Guap and Sam in that parking lot, man,
Yep.
And just showing people that I can give them real results anywhere. It was like Iron Man when Tony Stark made that suit in the cave,
Yeah.
And I can do this anywhere. I don't need any
big fancy gym.
Big fancy gym. I don't need some big fancy gym's name and their repetition training their clients.
Right.
I pull up at the park. I pull up at my own studio, your apartment gym, anywhere. Your music studio, your rehearsal space.
Yeah.
The green room at your concert. This is everywhere.
Sweet.
And I'm truly, and I truly take pride in being able to really run this like key man operation.
Yeah.
And to really cultivate the network, the clientele base it's an honor, and I'm thankful because I've always wanted to make this impact in hip hop. Because
absolutely,
I'm a fan of hip hop first, and I wanted to utilize my strengths, impact this in a positive way. And
it's beautiful.
And that's truly been the only mission behind what Raps Trainer is.
It was Guap one of the first artists that you ever kind of did this with, or where did you kind of like pioneer the idea of Raps Trainer? How did that happen?
So Guap was the first rapper, but before Raps Trainer was even a thing, I worked at this gym in Silver Lake. And I used, as I was developing, and they really helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I learned a lot there, more than any internship, more than anything. Like they paid me, and no matter how it ended, they really helped me. They really helped me out a lot.
Right.
And so from there, I used their clientele base to develop and learn the business, learn what being a personal trainer on a day-to-day really is, that client to client interaction, how to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of trainers are, and that's great. Like not skipping any steps.
Yeah.
But so from there, I trained like touring rock musicians. So I got to work with Matt Flynn. He's a drummer for Maroon 5. Shout out to him because I mean we talked about everything I'm doing now.
Wow.
And he, you know, always put me in contact with the best trainers that he knew in that world.
Yeah.
And you know, he's put me on the phone with some really high profile names in the fitness and health world.
Wow.
I've gotten really good insight. I've gotten, you know, told off. I've gotten everything I needed. Of course. Everything I needed, you know.
Yeah.
And really thankful for him. And I also work with Tony Canal. He's the bass player in No Doubt. And so and he's been jumping up and down since the 80s on stage, and he's he wears Converse only. So
Okay.
and you know, after when you're in your mid to late 40s, early 50s, you know, your knees start to catch up.
Yeah.
Start to catch up to you. And No Doubt actually had, you know, and that's even, he was jumping up and down so much that he actually got training. No Doubt was at such stardom as a group that they had trainers back then.
Wow.
2000s and things like that. And so that's something that, all right. So the personal training that I saw growing up with pop stars, rock stars, and other genres, I always wonder why hip hop didn't have that type of care and that type of initiative from somebody, to push that type of positivity.
Yeah.
And that's what I want it to be, and that's who I am. And so that goes from artists to offices, label offices. I even talk to sound people at concerts and get their insights, and hey, yeah, you should take care of your body. You know, people on production and music video sets. It's like Lyrical Lemonade. You know, people who work on their crew. I'm talking to them, get them in. You know, it's everyone that's around this.
Well, and with that too, a lot of people don't really realize, but like the music industry, and especially like the touring side and the production side, it is actually extremely taxing on the body, right? Like when you're in the van or the bus or whatever, going state to state for 40 days in a row, not having a good night to sleep, not being able to eat, you know, a home cooked meal, you know, not having a gym where most people who don't know how, if they're not presented with a gym, they don't know how to properly work out.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's so taxing on the mental health, the physical health, the sleep, the nutrition, literally everything.
I want to touch on, I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm going to talk about figures before me and Guap started training as well.
Yeah.
Which have been like, you know, the Method Mans, the Jim Joneses, even the LL Cool J's, the Wiz Khalifa. So, you know, I don't want to say that I'm the originator of this, but of course. But those figures caught on as they got older.
Yeah.
I really wanted to come in from I've worked with artists as young as 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like and that's what I wanted to touch. That's what I wanted to touch on, that as like a disclaimer.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So yeah, you know, there are definitely rappers in the past before I come in that have been working out. Yeah.
But to an extent too, you know, I was a kid and you're growing up and you hear about all like you know, it's the celebrity workout routines and these diet things and all this sort of stuff. You look at the celebrities that are doing it and it's like the main man that's always on TV, right? Or it's like always the superstar, like you're saying, right? And it's never the up and coming rapper artist dude or whatever it is.
And the problem is I have to sacrifice a lot, and I will do it every time. But the newly signed artist who hasn't been given any type of budget, who the advance, if they even got one, is just getting their life together. Yeah, they need this training and they don't have the money for it. So a lot of the times I've bit the bullet in terms of just taking care of. Don't worry about it. Let's just come in, just get you right for tour, because that's where my passion comes in. And you know, it is progressing. I have had a lot. I have been paid directly from record labels, which has been amazing to see. And there are figures at labels that have have gone to bat for me
Nice.
in the marketing department,
Yeah.
in our in the A&R departments, project managers. So it's getting better, but early on it was like I started out training independent artists for free.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's and producers.
Well, with that, a few things that I think I've touched on occasionally with this podcast is like you got to earn your dues,
Yep.
right? And it's like a lot of times the value is never really fully seen at first when you're doing it, but the more that you're able to kind of keep providing that value and showing it to them, you know, like when to get my first kind of big opportunity in this space, I literally had to rent basically all that I had in my savings, and it came down to the very last sample that I could afford to get across the table. And they finally looked at it, said yes. 2 weeks later, I got the purchase order for the first real deal. And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, and it took months of getting to that point and tons of free labor, free conversations, free work, you know, all this sort of stuff to just earn the stripes to be able to have the right opportunity where they're actually able to view the value of what I was able to provide. And they'd say, okay, you know what? Yes, this is worth it. This makes sense. We enjoy kind of what you're doing. Here you go.
Yeah.
Let's make it, let's provide.
I've definitely had those moments. And so thankful for the people that we're getting stuff for free, training for free. We're like, hey, this time to transition. This is our budget. You know? And I'm like,
make it real.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And things are also still a roller coaster as well. Of course. I'm still nothing, even free work even today isn't beneath me.
Of course.
Like ever.
No.
It's just like, I think that's where the creative side of things comes into this, because it's like some things are more impactful if you don't take money.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in situations like that too,
where
I feel good about not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Because that's going to lead to something else. You know, you pick and choose those type of battles. And it's like, you gotta have where foresight comes in.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to see a few moves down the lane.
Yeah.
Still keeping things genuine, but also making sure, you're also taking care of yourself.
You're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of them. It's going to be fulfilling. You know, you see a couple steps ahead, like you're saying.
Definitely.
And with that creative side, I also kind of want to touch a little bit on. So obviously you do amazing training work. You do amazing kind of fitness and health work and stuff like that for a lot of really cool people. But there's other sides to kind of how you do that and how you're creative there that also spur into some other brands and some other sort of ventures that you're working on too.
Yeah. I've so in the past about year and a half, I started a brand based on the neighborhood I grew up in. I grew up in this historic gated community called Lafayette Square.
Yeah.
Where a lot of prominent residents in LA history, and in Black history, have lived since the 20s in LA. And so it's on the clothing side, it's real heritage and community based.
Yeah.
Inspired by my grandpa's clothing that I inherited from after he passed away.
Yeah.
So the color schemes, he went to UCLA, so it's a lot of navy blue and gold.
Okay.
A lot of Ralph Lauren vintage Ralph Lauren, vintage Tommy Hilfiger. Even like his university crew necks. So like a big part of his like who he was. And
nice.
And I every time I had growing up, every time I had a big event coming up in my world, in my head, something big, I would go and ask him, can I have
get some clothes?
Yeah, can I get some clothes?
Yeah.
And every time he would say yes. So a lot of the stuff I wear today, I've worn throughout a lot of stuff I wear of his, I've worn throughout my life.
Yeah.
And
that's really cool.
And yeah, so I'm just really glad my grandma kind of gave me. That's one thing that she knows means a lot to me. And so any piece even there's some pieces that I know that she wouldn't want me to take, I left. But so I asked to wear them, bring them back. Yep. Things like that. And so there's a lot of cool
take care
pieces.
of
them. So exactly. And so from there I've been throwing these barbecues in my backyard. They're called Lafayette Square Juke Jams.
Yeah.
And the music is played off of my grandfather's like 1984 like AMI jukebox. That I've been refurbishing little by little over the past year.
Sweet.
I wheel that out, and I have like just a classic barbecue. And it's a real nostalgic feeling that I think is kind of lost through generation. And everything is to remind people of elements of their childhood in a way. And yeah, it's really just been.
And you're doing those events in Lafayette Square, right?
My grandmother's house, the house I grew up in, is like my whole set. And I've even moved my training operation there and built out like my own personal like training studio and whole garage built out. And got some help from Red Bull.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just been great to honestly, one, not have an overhead, because that's a big problem for trainers that I've come to realize. So not having overhead, I get to work less than 50 feet from my grandmother, who's recovering from a spine surgery.
Wow.
Where she had to relearn how to walk. So she's now walking with a walker and getting back to being the active person that she was.
Wow.
So I'm just so glad there's an extra hand there. I'm there from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., mostly every day. And it's somewhere I want to be. So, I was a guy that never really wanted to move out from home, but, I had to recognize I had to do this for growth.
Of course.
But this is a way of me, this is a way of me. Like I said, I feel like some middle school kid playing basketball outside. Now I'm back into that.
Back at that space.
That space, and in that very space, there's my gym, and we have the backyard set up for these barbecues, and so it's all in one space. And
I think a beautiful part about that, especially like that middle school thing that you're saying, right? Like when you're a kid, your creativity is so rampant, right? Like you don't understand a lot of like the real world things that's going on, right? So being able to mentally put you back into that space can allow for so much more to blossom.
It's I really feels like Disneyland. Like every time I'm walking up and back there, I'm like, I work at the happiest place on earth. Like
so cool.
And that's what I'm trying to really cultivate back there. It's an experience where I'm really trying to cultivate an experience where people can immerse in all 5 senses. So it's like they're hearing something, they're holding something, they're viewing something, and, and
you're stimulating everything and helping everything grow.
Smelling something. So there's in the brand, I'm even with the brand identity, it's getting as deep as that. So at these events, I have this like conceptual orange juice based brand. This orange juice brand that's conceptual, and where I make my own like stickers, and I have glass bottles, and like hand squeeze all the orange juice. And then so people are like drinking this, looking at it. I gave out actually you helped me with some hats, and I used those as like just like straight up party favors. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give these away to everybody. And people are still wearing like these hats, and it's like and so the brand playlist, they're drinking the juice, they're the hats, they're smelling the barbecue, the flowers, hummingbirds. That's the motif of me as a creative, and especially of the brand. That's what you're hearing. I have a feeder, so you're hearing these birds and these natural sounds. That
so you're
really
creating you're creating an environment that is welcoming. It's fun. It's interactive. You're bringing in like-minded people. And it's it's all a positive environment. And you're what you're doing is you're building a community. Right. And like that's another thing that I always harp on and preach on this podcast is the community aspect, right? Like especially when you're trying to build a brand or you're trying to create something that is almost larger than yourself or larger than life, right? Like the main thing that matters is that community aspect, because with that community aspect, you're able to do so much. A lot of people are always like, oh, I want to get 1 million followers, or I want 100,000 people to buy this thing or whatever. It's like, it's like you're looking at this whole thing wrong. And I can guarantee you there's probably a lot of people that have a million followers, but they don't have $1 for every single person that follows them. And all this sort of stuff. And so it's like building that community of, the super consumers that are actually like, they're all in on the idea, the brand, the concept. They love what you're doing and stuff like that. That is invaluable.
Definitely.
And a lot of, if you're out here just trying to follow a trend, if you're out here just trying to catch the next fad or like what's hot now, sure, you can find some short-term success, but like being able to build the community is what's going to be able to set something up for having long-term and even generational success, And so I love that, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, speaking of that, it's like it's like having an end goal as well.
Yeah.
A lot of big meetings I'm in, and people hear people hear all these moving parts. Not giving away too much, but just hearing everything, they're like, well, what's the end goal? And I'm like, and it's clear every time. It's everything I'm doing outside of the training is to eventually buy my grandmother's house, which is the set, my headquarters, and just everything that makes me. And that's the end goal.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. And it's the neighborhood has been changing. Gentrification is a thing, and I just don't want everything my grandfather worked for to succumb to just gentrification.
Right.
Rather, if the world changes around me, so be it. But this property line is,
keep your peace.
This property line is ours.
Yeah.
And when it's mine, I'm gonna put a plaque outside the door stating that this was his house, and it's literally a historic neighborhood. It's a city landmark.
Yeah.
But even more than that, this specific lot,
wow,
means this so much to this person. So
I want to learn a little bit more about Lafayette Square. What are, so I think you said it's been around since the 20s.
So it was designed by a famous architect. His name was Paul Williams. He designed the Beverly Hills Hotel, and that's his handwriting as the logo.
Really?
There's this, I forgot what the building at LAX is called, but it's that like UFO looking building at LAX.
Yeah.
He designed that. He designed even in Watts, right where my mother's side of the family's from. He designed, like the Nickerson Garden Projects unit, which is a famous project unit in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so a lot of figures over time, like Joe Louis, the boxer, Little Richard, lived in Lafayette Square. Rosa Parks would spend her springs and summers out here, living with a friend's house. Lived in the Midwest.
Wow. Yeah.
But winters were so cold. She lived here in old age, and so even today, like even modern day history, Sid from the singer, she's from Internet, Odd Future, and her brother Travis Taco. Yeah, they grew up on my block, and they really been able to cultivate a modern history of their own, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that they recorded all of the early Odd Future stuff at Sid and Taco's house. Sid and Travis.
No way.
So in reality, the brand Odd Future and everything Tyler's built was built on Fairfax, but the sound, I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, was built in Lafayette Square. So that's something that people don't really know either.
Wow.
And on across the street from where I live, one of the sisters in the this Grammy-winning gospel group, Mary, is across the street. Yeah. So there's a lot of potential for these block parties to become very very soulful,
of course,
to amass amounts from. So hopefully I go from these backyard barbecue, Lafayette Square juke jams, block parties with a stage. And hopefully this becomes like a festival.
That is phenomenal.
Lafayette Square juke jam. So
yeah.
So with people who, and that's where I'll go and I mean, I go right to the source. So I might knock on some doors and just literally ask,
"Hey, doing this right?
Yeah, doing this for the neighborhood." Developed a pretty good brand.
I love that.
Yeah, so
I love that. And But let's go back to that straight to the source thing. We keep saying that, but
straight to the source.
There's there's a few other things that you've been doing recently. There's an athletic brand called Reigning Champ, right?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
When we were first,
those guys.
When we were first getting our work, and when you were first training me, you were telling me this idea, and I was like, yeah, this is sick. And then fast forward a few months, and you're doing it, and you're working on it, and you're figuring it out. And it stemmed straight from an from an idea that you were just kind of just kicking off, trying to figure this thing out. Explain that a little bit. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I guess I'll start from the beginning. About 11, 12 years ago, one of my closest creative consultants, his name is Charles Green, freaking wizard. He's helped me with pretty much everything that I've ever done creatively. And so he was telling me about like brands that he thought that I would align well with based on like my aesthetic and really then it was like what I was cultivating to become. I was cultivating my development.
Right.
And so he was like, man, this brand in Vancouver is like really all about the details. They're not necessarily worried about being cool, and they're worried about every inch of fabric. And that's something and so he showed me the website. And I actually have a picture of us like at this meeting. We met at like this hookah bar.
Nice.
And like drinking boba.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of us on the laptop and he's showing me Reigning Champ. And I was like this would be a dream to work with them.
Yeah.
And I used to be a guy that like really looks ahead. So sometimes I think it's coming off as skipping steps.
Okay.
In reality, especially back then, I had none of this to show for.
Right.
Now it's like people are like, now that I've like executed many things, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's gonna happen.
You got credibility.
Yes, but I've always been this guy though.
Right.
Like, and I guess in the past it may have come off as like a guy thinking too far ahead.
Sure. Sure.
But I just get in these dreaming sessions, man, and I love exchanging stuff with like-minded people, and and that's a part of who I am. And some people are always like, oh man, I keep a lot to myself, more than people would think.
There's a lot that goes on in the head.
Yeah, but this giant heads, that's a nod to my girlfriend. This giant nails. So I do keep a lot to myself, but I love telling my loved ones what I'm doing and getting their opinion, because that's why I've surrounded myself with such smart, caring, compassionate people, and people that want the best for me. And so of course I'm gonna tell them and get their opinion. Of course, probably drive them crazy with everything, nonstop all day. So just I'd be losing myself.
No, it's all good. There's a lot that's going on. You got a bunch of thoughts. But so 10, 11 years ago, you were learning about Reigning Champ. You were seeing how it was going.
Reigning Champ. I totally forgot we were talking.
You're good.
My mind is already moving on. So, and so as I progressed, I did some stuff with other brands and was able to kind of do like this concept. And I'm a LinkedIn warrior, man.
Okay.
Like, my page isn't the best.
Yeah.
Like, I use it to go on and find out who has what job of who I'm trying to get in contact of, wherever establishment I'm trying to get in contact with. So it's like, why would I go to the person who runs the production side when I need to talk to the marketing manager or the marketing director or whatever, interns sometimes. So I find them on LinkedIn, and if their email's not there, guess what? Go on to Instagram. Everyone's got a name.
Yep.
Usually by now I have mutuals with them. So it's like, and just right to the source, man.
Yeah.
Right to the person. Like it's something I've never had somebody say like, why'd you hit me here? Sometimes you have to bend these like kind of professional rules a bit.
Of course.
Like, and just, I'm straight up. Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. I got this idea. I send them the deck right away.
Yep.
I have the deck prepared.
Yep.
And so with Reigning Champ, I got a reply from the guy on LinkedIn, and he was like, hey man, I don't work there anymore, but I'm gonna send this to my former colleague, and I'm sure they're interested.
No way.
And so I was doing some like I was in talks with doing some like creative direction work at this like historic like gym in LA.
Yeah. Right.
And so I reached out kind of using their IP.
Nice.
And so that was kind of like something that it was like a fancy lure on a fishing rod.
Yes.
So I had a good idea. I had some IP with it, that intellectual property, if people don't know. And so I reached out, sent their stuff, and then they emailed me, and this guy Michael Belgue, he's head of marketing over there, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry for this title wrong. Sorry. But he's been like this person that's put his belief in me.
Wow.
And because I used to have a store out here on La Brea.
Yeah.
And during COVID, they a lot of stuff changed.
Everything changed. Yeah.
And so they're a part of our relationship is just I'm a contact in LA,
Yeah.
As much as they're helping me with stuff, I've helped connect some dots for them as well.
Of course.
And yeah, it's just been a great relationship, and so how that happened. And so I got on email with them. They started sending me clothes. Great. Oh, awesome.
Yep.
The wardrobe is definitely down up a bit, like, especially with my grandfather's clothing.
Oh yeah.
Combined with like a lot of those pieces, they make athletic wear, but also it's like they make a lot of coach wear.
Nice.
They make like trousers, collared shirts, polos, golf wear. It's like, man, it's really a one-stop shop. Like, for at least for someone like me. If I had to pick one brand that's not shoes that I had to shop from forever, it'd be Reigning Champ, because I have a lot of different.
Well, I know your answers on the shoes too.
Oh yeah, I'm a timeless shoe guy. Sneakers, like all my Jordans got to be shoes that he wore on the court.
Oh yeah,
there's few exceptions, and collaborations are exceptions, but yeah, OG colorways only. Like, I love a good yellow tint.
Yeah.
I love good age on them. I love seeing somebody like, oh yeah, that's their go-to, their day-to-day shoe.
Yep.
Stories behind sneakers really resonate to my childhood. Whether it was for sports, wanting to emulate the greatness that that's pretty much what shoes mean to me. Whenever I buy a pair of shoes, I put them on and walk out in the shoes I just bought.
Yeah.
I want to, especially if it's a pair of Jordans, like I'll have my fit ready for these shoes that I'm about to.
The shoes you're gonna go buy.
Yeah, call them. You got these, or if it's someone I know at a store, go to the plug or something.
Yeah,
go and get them and just throw them on immediately. I want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Of that greatness that I feel.
Right.
And so growing up, clothes and shoes have always mattered, and I'm thankful that's something that I'm able to morph with, even the health and wellness side and the training thing, and some lanes haven't crossed with Lafayette Square in my training yet, but we're on the same highway. We're on the same freeway.
And it's getting closer now too. You just moved the training stuff directly into Lafayette Square.
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaken too, you also have the OG jukebox.
Oh yeah.
Inside of the.
So I'll give you some backstory on that. So with Lafayette Square, I mentioned hummingbirds, but another motif is jukeboxes, which at the Juke Jam events, it's played from this jukebox, and there's staple songs on the playlist, but I've also interchanged. I have about, out of the 200 singles, 45s, it plays the small ones.
Yeah.
I have about 20 slots that I can interchange.
Cool.
For each event. Yeah. For whatever I'm feeling too.
Yeah.
But so these machines all come from my grandfather's my grandfather used to have a vending business in like the late 70s, early 80s, into the 90s. And so, the chain Fatburger?
Yeah, of course.
So, my grandpa had this machine for all of the Fatburgers. And,
Wow.
And so he knew the original owner, and worked with her directly. And there's pictures of the original location with his box in there. So, yeah, no, my mind's working.
Yeah.
It's, I'm about to be on LinkedIn looking up Fatburger, work the head of marketing for Fatburger, and sending them a deck.
Yeah,
They didn't know that they were going to be receiving.
No,
no.
But
So
sometimes some of that stuff's how a lot of these things happen, right? Like it's just getting shots on goal, right? And the more shots on goal that you take, the more potential opportunities that you have for one of the opportunities to be able to manifest itself and become a real thing.
Yeah.
And I admire that a lot.
No, thank you, man.
There's because at Limitless we got like a sales department, and it's like, yo, we need what's your dream client? What's your dream vision? Let's get shots on goal that align with that, so that way you're super excited for this project or for this job or like whatever, this opportunity, and it's spot on.
Yeah, everything has to be passion based.
Yeah.
And this has been my passion since I was a kid.
I love it.
And a lot of people see the niche and ask me how do I get there? How do I do this? And I'm just like, it's where my passion took me. If my passion was training astronauts, I'd be in Houston or Orlando at the Space Center. It's just where it took me. And it was never because I thought this was cool. It was just because I was a fan. I wanted to impact. I wanted to impact these artists. Even going to shows, I think that the vibrations of live music are so healing. And I cultivated Rap's trainer at like a really transitional time in my life. Damn near at rock bottom, at least climbing my way back up.
Wow.
And so impacting something I love, but also getting to my work on stage, whether that was traveling with an artist or seeing them at their LA stop and getting to feel the vibrations of being as close to the speakers as possible.
Yeah.
Like that's always been really cool. And like I damn near sometimes want to take my shoes off at concerts, like
feel it,
to feel the actual stage. Because
I want to do it. I want to do a little callback here. So earlier you were saying like you a lot of times you're having to put your own self out there, do the work yourself before the value came back, right? And there's been a few examples that we were talking off camera here. If you wouldn't mind sharing them, like being able to see some of these people that you've trained and worked with and seeing their transition in their personal fitness career. So now they're doing fashion weeks, and now they're doing right. Like,
dude,
share a little bit about that.
That's great, man. It's just seeing. I mean, it's starting with an artist or a creative when they're in one era, and it's like giving them your all, and them getting those results has equaled artists getting in such good shape now that fashion brands are now giving them deals. These sports apparel big giants are now looking at them. Their music departments are now they got them on their radars, and I've had stylists come up and thank me, like at the events or at shows, like, oh, man, thank you. Every time I see you on the schedule or whatever, I'm just like, you've opened the door for the possibility of new garments for them to wear, and different cuts of clothing that now that their physique now, their physique now kind of goes with that, and it's been great seeing artists go from like covering themselves up and then the t-shirts, then tank tops, then sheer, they're shirtless, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go on album covers or at their concerts. Once I see that, I'm like, all right, cool. The confidence is there.
It's there.
I knew it wasn't before, and Or if it was before, it was still that they had that in the back of their head, you know?
Yeah.
And just that, but it just goes with that specific impact, like going from like let alone injury prevention or
Yep.
endurance, but just that confidence,
Yeah.
and that confidence can take somebody even further than they already are.
I think that's spot on with health and fitness too, man. Like a few years ago when I wasn't really in the best shape. I'm still not in the best shape. I'm trying my ass off, you know.
Hey, come on.
But like
Yeah.
there was that confidence thing was a whole lack, right? Like in some areas of my life I'd feel confident, but then, you want me to take off my shirt? Right?
Yeah.
And it's always in the back of the head. But then the second that you really dial in on the fitness side, it helps with the style side dialing in, and it helps with the way that you look and the way that you feel and the person that you're seeing when you're looking in the mirror, right? And once all of those things start feeling like they're bigger and better and where you were expecting it, you start lessening that self-conscious, right? That worry of, oh, I don't like the way I look, right? And you get that confidence, and then that helps in so many different aspects of life.
Yeah, and I've always most of the artists I trained and have trained, I've been a little older than, so
Yeah.
it's like seeing that has always been like, like seeing like a little brother doing like giving them that nod, like I know,
Yep.
just thrive, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my mentors, like, what does he say? He's like never look down on the young and stunting, man.
Yeah.
Let
them do their
yeah, let them do their thing, and so for me to be a part of that, it's like I keep going back to that impact,
That's great.
That's just been the goal.
That's incredible. Jason, you got any advice, takeaways for aspiring creatives, trainers, people in the hip hop or fashion industry? Anything else that you want to kind of share out there with them? Let them hear.
I think it's just not skipping steps.
Yeah.
Really hone in on critical thinking. Really analyze if you have good foresight. If not, now you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Think ahead. And don't wear any bogus J's.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. What's next, right? What's coming next? What can we expect?
I think it's just about executing things for me.
Yeah.
Everything I do is for me. And I think that's what another thing creators have to do is for them. It's not for, like you were saying, the clout aspect of things. It's not. It's keeping things original, things organic, and being themselves.
Yeah.
But I think what's next is just enjoying developing the studio, the personal training studio, a bit. These cut and sew hats. So these cut and sew hats, they are something I've been working on for like a year at this point, like getting the right shape. So it's emulating a classic looking low profile fit. And so the manufacturer in China had to like make me a custom mold.
Of course, yeah.
So detail on the inside of all of our fonts, and a sticker inspired by the sticker that comes on all of our favorite hats, with the seal, with like that laminate. And actually, Miller helped me out with this. Thanks Limitless for that. Freaking awesome.
Thanks, man.
And so, just putting these hats out and a couple more pieces of clothing. I have some university sweaters that I just dropped, and I got some different colors in that. And this, just kind of whatever comes to mind. The training kind of keeps me grounded.
Absolutely.
Where like once that's done, this mind is just in between sessions. I'm going to a manufacturer. I'm going to, I'm getting blanks constantly, shipped to the house, and it's little. I'm worried about the details, I guess.
Absolutely.
Getting the right labels, making sure the story aligns. with the product, and I think that's the key.
And that's
Taking my
one thing
time
you
drinking.
do
Yeah.
incredibly well is that storytelling. All of
Thank you.
your videos and they're like little cinematic films, man. They're
Oh, thank you.
phenomenal.
Thank you, man.
They're phenomenal. So
I appreciate that, and it's a lot of the times and that's doing something. I do stuff for me so much that, like, wait a minute, do people like this? And thankfully people do. Yeah.
Stay doing it, man.
Yeah.
Stay doing it.
So thank you.
Don't follow the trends. Don't try to catch the viral moment. Stay organic. Stay doing you. Build that community that you're building. Like that's the most important thing you can do for the brand.
Yeah, definitely. Can I do a couple of shout outs?
Let them rip.
So before I even met Guapdad and Sam in Township, the producer community really gravitated to health and wellness before the actual like artist did.
Really?
So I reached out to this producer. His name is Halfway, and he's created this producer collective called Split Mind, and they're everywhere, and it's and he responded, and that was one of my strategies, I guess, at first, was just reach out to people in music that wasn't like, didn't have to be the actual artist, and so I used to get on. I used to be up late, and I think I was out of town on the East Coast, so I was on another time zone where everyone in LA. So he was on live at like 9, 10, 11, and I'm up at like 4 a.m. as well, on the East Coast. And so he would have these lives where a lot of people would just circulate in and out over like the hour of just him making beats. And so I used to be on his lives like, hey, let me come to your studio and train you, bring weights and stuff. Like just little messages all in his lives and stuff. And then the next, he would never reply, or he would be like, oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
He's a very progressive thinker. He's thinking ahead too.
Yeah.
And so the next day he reposted on his story, the next day, hey, whoever was like talking to me about fitness in my live last night, hit me back up. And I was like, damn it. I wonder how many people are about to hit him up about this.
Yeah.
And so I responded just, hey, that was me in your live. And so he was like, yeah, come by the studio. Like, what are you looking for? And I just told him straight up, like, look, I'll train you for free if you just like let me train you in your studio, maybe introduce me to some people and give me some game. And like, and he was one of the people that like helped me with get my Instagram in order.
Wow.
And so on the fitness side of things, one of my mentors, his name is Daryl Rhodes.
Okay.
And he owned this gym that I rented space out of.
Yeah.
For the first chapter of my training career. And I say rent, he let me train out of his gym for free. And he was actually my JV football coach.
Wow.
At Fairfax High School. And I became independent from that gym in Silver Lake. Yeah. And and my dad was like, hey, yeah, your old football coach has a gym right by the house. And so went in there. He was in there making beats. Like he's the greatest guy in the best way. He's like a character, the main character. Like making beats, and I seen that and was like, oh yeah, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And he's always somebody that's looked at my vision. I heard all my visions and believes in me, helped me set up my equipment in the.
Oh, that's so cool.
I rented a room in his house for a certain period.
Yeah.
And like, man, he's just always been there for me, just one of my best friends on the planet. And so it's because of him and his gym that I met my creative mentor. His name is Punch. He owns the biggest independent music marketing company called 740.
Yeah.
He co-founded that with Raheem Wright.
Yeah.
And they're two of my really good friends. And so I met Punch, and he just was always eye level with me, and he was in there boxing with another trainer, and we would always talk about weight loss and strength training. I used to be like, man, you need the strength side, and with that boxing trainer, he was cool with me talking to him.
Of course.
Yeah. I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes. He didn't do strength work, that boxing trainer. And so he was like, well, yeah, man, well, I'll do a few sessions with you. And so I was training him for free for a few months. And then one day he was like, man, like after just hearing me talk, like just kind of how we are now, he was like, yeah, man, like, what is this, man? What's the end goal here?
Right.
And I was like, well, I just want to train rappers.
Yeah.
I'm ready for tours.
Yeah.
That's where I want to take this style of training, because I started off training athletes. And so that's how I saw a need for this was the impact control, stability, things like that, besides physique. I knew that there was a need for that. Young guys jumping up and down.
Absolutely.
After seeing Drake, Travis Scott, Tyler, the Creator, breaking bones, tearing ligaments, things like that. And so Punch was like, yeah, well, you know I'm like,
what I do.
Yeah, you know what I do, right? Like, no, I don't. And he was like, and then he was like, well, who are you, like, who do you want to train? Like, I'll get someone on the phone right now.
Yeah.
And I honestly was, and I honestly saw, I've always been realistic. I've never wanted to be like, well, Drake or Kendrick or, put me on Rihanna. No, it's always been, I've always wanted to go after the next, whatever they are, that next person coming up.
Yeah.
And I saw Guapdad as that. He put me on with his manager, put him on FaceTime.
Wow.
And I had already talked to bro on Instagram, and he was just like, all right, well, you're everywhere at this point. Come by the studio. Because, him and Punch had their own relationships and things like that from the past. So it was just, I was coming at everything from multiple angles, which timing is a big thing. And this is my destiny.
Yeah.
That's what I tell, like, oh, well, I'm meant to do this.
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't something that I just am
it's
trying
not
to do.
unauthentic to you. This is the authentic Jason. This is what you do.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, and so me and Punch have been best friends ever since. And so he introduced me to a lot of his network. I even introduced some of my really good friends with him, and we're all good friends now. And just we're in group chats all day, just roasting each other, putting each other on with opportunity, and giving people praise and constructive criticism. And it's just having a network of these creative people who also are in these offices filtering me clients, giving them their credit. And every single one of them has filtered me somebody, somebody that they introduced me to filter that person to me. Yeah. It all stems from meeting Punch at Coach Rhodes' gym, meeting Punch. Halfway was another angle. It was just like different angles of how I got in. And those are just some people that, along with like reigning champ, I couldn't not bring up. And yeah, man, it's just been great. I live a good life. I got a daughter, 6 years old, and I spend a lot of time with her, like on top of the training, and a lot of good quality time. And so I'm just sharing, and what I have up next is sharing my space with her. This is a lot of stuff. I
saw that yesterday. The pre-homework
push-ups. We got to gas out before, the zone, really zone in. Yeah, she goes after school, jitters and stuff. So she's been determined to just get, he was like, I was telling her I'm putting as the gym was getting built, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go, lift them. Sure. So I'm just giving her 2 or 3 pound weights, of course, to do her shoulder presses and stuff. And my dad used to give me, like, we used to, in the early 2000s, there used to be the handle and you put the weight on and twist it on. So he used to give me the handles without the
weights.
Yeah. And he used to put I used to be like, nah, put weights on there. He used to twist the knob on and be like, that's the weight. Oh, nah, that ain't the weight, bro. Like, I see you because my parents, they were young parents, so they had, instead of like a traditional dining room, no dining room table, just a bench.
Yeah.
Bench and dumbbell sets, and I used to watch them lift together and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so sorry to go back to past questions.
No.
Nah, this is
This
really,
stems.
like this is a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
I come from a real athletic family even on both sides.
Yeah.
To a lot of degree, like a lot of activity.
Yeah.
My dad used to take me to work out. I used to be 5 years old in track spikes, doing sprint workouts with him. I used to go to my mom's side of the family and hoop with my uncles at early Saturday mornings at 109th Street Park, Watts, and it's like and then this was like and then played football, ran track, played basketball my entire life, and so I still do a lot of those things. I'm now golfing.
Okay.
Hit the golf course. 18 holes on a Tuesday. Yeah, man.
Hard life, man.
Life sucks, man. And also just having that outlook, man. Not always about having millions in your bank account.
Absolutely.
I'm doing the same stuff they're doing though. That same type of lifestyle. And I think that's as I'm I turn 29 next week, so just getting up there and just really appreciating these little things in life is really a big part of what keeps me happy. I'm living my dream job,
Absolutely.
This is what I've wanted to do since I was in high school, helping out my friends, their lifts and things.
Yeah.
I used to tell them, I used to be like, I'm gonna be like a trainer, but like Drake, like
it's basically what you're doing.
In my own way. It's in my own organic way.
Yeah.
Without being something I'm not. I've worked hard to like.
Absolutely.
I consider myself like one of the top in my field, and
you're a premier top trainer.
My network.
Yeah.
I put in the work, man. I put
Absolutely.
in 10,000 hours times 2.
Easy. Yeah. Easy.
So that's what's next for me, man.
I love it.
Yep. So
love it. So Jason, where can they find you?
Just really, you can find me in Lafayette Square. Putting in work, putting on events. At Raps Trainer though, I answer. At Raps Trainer. At Raps Trainer. At RAPS Trainer, all one word.
Yeah.
Easy as that, no underscores. And then Lafayette.Square. So just Lafayette.Square is the Instagram. I'm gonna hit up some people at Meta, get my stuff in order on that. But LafayetteSquare.LA.com as well is where I sell stuff. Thankfully everything is sold out from the last drop.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, just
good problem.
Yeah, I put everything on Instagram. That's where everyone can see me.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people that stray away from Instagram.
Absolutely.
Nah.
Yeah.
Instagram where the money's at. And you gotta be where it's at.
That's right, man.
When I go to New York, man, it's like you gotta be in Manhattan where it's at.
Where it's at.
No diss for everyone else.
Yeah.
No, but that's where it's at. When you're in LA, you gotta be in the mix where it's at.
Yeah.
I'm in mid city.
Yeah.
In the middle of the cities. Yeah. In the mix. I never want to leave. I love apartment sounds. I love the sounds of helicopter sirens.
Oh yeah.
I love the sound of footsteps.
Yeah.
Like things are too silent. That's what's happening.
Well, Jason, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here.
And you're a great
Absolutely.
guy. You're a great guy, and all of our convos have been nothing but progressive and have put me in better moods. And thank you for having me in your space. And I've been nothing but comfortable here, man. So thank you.
Appreciate you.
Of course, bro.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Another handshake. Let's go.
Well, cool.
Hell yeah, man.